hot off the presses, just what America needed. Another Vance. Did you see?
Usha,
JD Vance's wife, is pregnant with their fourth child. This is now the second pregnancy in the White House because Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, is also pregnant. And she will be the first pregnant press secretary.
She's also allegedly getting Botox and filler while pregnant. That's like very online, where you're seeing her like injection marks, which is very unhealthy. For those who don't know, Botox is a byproduct of botulism, the deadly poison. Did you not know that? I see your face. Yes, Botox is botulism.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the bacteria causes an infection that results in a poison called Botox.
No, it's not that direct. This isn't Radiolab, right? Like, we're not going to get into the all the science of it. But it's a byproduct, and it paralyzes the muscle, and therefore you're not able to make the facial expressions that cause the wrinkles, like the laugh lines and the crow's feet.
I know the goal. I just don't know where it comes from.
Anyway, Usha, 40 years old, having a baby. Someone very snidely said to me, "Who's the father?" Oh, because it's very infamous online that her and JD do not look very lovey-dovey, and she looks quite miserable in her role as second lady of the United States of America.
Well, I heard the Oval Office love seat is very jealous.
Oh, because JD is... I get it. Right.
JD fucks couches.
Yeah. So that's hot.
I think the heavier and more serious news of the week comes around the budget bills that are currently being passed in Congress. We love talking about government shutdowns, so let's bring it back for a quick replay to start 2026. We had a government shutdown in the fall. In order to get out of the government shutdown, they passed what's known as a continuing resolution, which is a temporary budget extending the funding levels of the previous year, and that extended it to a set date. That date is January 30th. And so that just bought them time to pass the actual bills known as the appropriations process. And now this week, they're up against a deadline trying to pass all these bills to fund every federal agency. One of those bills is focused on DHS, Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE and TSA and other agencies. And so Democrats have been throwing up some flags, to say the least, to say, hey, we kind of have concerns about continuing to expand the budget of an agency whose primary purpose is to send masked men into the street to kidnap U.S. citizens and others and disappear them.
Murdered by MAGA. Some follow-up questions I have for you on that. The way I look at this is two things, right? I'm seeing a lot of politicians coming out and saying abolish ICE. Mayor Hamdani said that today. One, is that even possible? The answer to that is no. So the defunding of ICE, is that possible? Yes or no?
No. The reason that we can't defund ICE directly through this process in a way that a lot of people online seem to think is that we just did this. We literally just had a government shutdown where we hit this deadline and didn't pass any funding for DHS. No new money was allocated to DHS. They would be in the same situation like the national parks were, where national parks actually were closed. But the issue is the executive branch has wide latitude in what they can deem as necessary, and they move money around to keep funding it. No ICE agents were pulled off of the street and sent home as a result of the government shutdown in the fall. It did not have that effect. They continued to send more and more. And so we have no reason to believe that them not having budget appropriated to DHS would result in them recalling ICE or laying off ICE agents en masse when they've already passed funding last year through the big ugly bill, about $75 billion for ICE. So there's already money there. Should we extract things? Yes. Are we going to successfully zero out the line item of ICE or any other sort of DHS function through this process? No.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's a very popular talking point online right now. And I think rightly so, people want to feel some sort of control or opportunity to do something, but of course we don't have the legislative power to actually do that. Do you think we being the Democratic Party, shut down the government again?
No, and they're not going to. I'm very confident they're not going to do that. The reason the government shut down in the fall was because there was such strong demand for it from the base, which was incredibly focused on the issue and organized. And for a multitude of reasons, most people don't even know that this is happening. Senators do not feel the level of pressure that they did in the fall. And senators who tend to be more practical overall than I think your median organizer, who's maybe ginning up the energy, is looking at what happened in the last government shutdown. They're still hearing now, I'm sure, from constituents who were hurt by the shutdown, and they didn't get what they wanted. There are no subsidies for the ACA. 2 million people lost their health insurance this month. So they only saw loss. There are certainly some senators who saw it as a positive, definitely don't regret their votes, et cetera. But I think that to initiate another shutdown when the last one was not effective in getting them what they wanted is a tough sell.
Nor are we really talking about healthcare today. As someone who is paying a higher premium and saw the headline of 1.5 to 2 million people decided to not re-sign their affordable, that's a rich term, their ACA. I also want to say, if you have ACA on the New York State marketplace, make sure that if you switched health insurances, that your other insurance was canceled. Mine was not. I got a bill from Anthem for $1,600, which would have been my new premium, by the way. It would have gone up 100%. And I called them and I said, I'm not insured by you anymore. And they said, well, we know that. It's crazy out there. It is crazy out there. So if you have ACA, double check and make sure that you have your automatic payments off for any old health insurance.
Yeah, that is crazy. I think a lot of people are basically saying, well, what can Democrats do? Why can't they do anything? Why can't they fight? Maybe it's helpful to look back on the Biden administration and remember that the Biden administration surged funding to the IRS in a similar, but not exactly the same capacity as Republicans have now surged funding into ICE. The goal of the IRS funding was to hire more agents who would explicitly audit millionaire and billionaire tax sheets because they get the fewest audits because it takes so much time to audit them because it's more complicated. And so they had wanted to hire more agents and modernize the agency to better crack down on millionaires cheating on their taxes. And Republicans fought it tooth and nail. They absolutely called it the end of the world, the start of a quote unquote surveillance state coming from the people who now are sending literal masked men into your home.
Asking for your papers. And talk about cheating taxes. Like you clearly aren't paying your fair share of taxes if you're trying to avoid being audited.
Right. And so the important thing to know is Republicans could not stop that from happening then, even though they wanted to. They did not have the votes to do so. And they could not do anything about it until they got a trifecta and Trump was reelected. And they passed a bill last year to repeal all of that money and cut all of those jobs from the IRS. And so it does cut both ways. We don't tend to look at it that way or talk about it in the same way because we're usually just furious when it cuts the way that it is right now. But this is the definition of elections have consequences, and we do not have the direct power to defund that agency, even though it is true that Democratic votes are required to pass the appropriations bills. That does not equate to veto power over the function that we know can be designated as essential in a shutdown. So options are limited. The long and short of it is our best bet is to extract concessions through the normal negotiation process and ultimately provide votes in order to restrict the level of funding going to ICE, which we can do with good negotiators.
Yeah. You're more in the weeds than I am on all this. Obviously, I'm still like, make sure you're standing up for your community, your neighbors, you're registered to vote, you know who you want to back in your Democratic primary, and you're going to back whoever wins the primary and the general. To your point, elections matter, and we are in an election year.